after the show. So I'm literally walking off stage with the second place medal. I was like one of the last to leave off the stage, and Christian had like stopped me when I was behind the stage. He was like, yo man, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It has been quite a little bit of time here. I hope you guys had a great new year. A lot has happened on my end since the last video. And in this video, I won't necessarily get into everything, but I really more so want to get back in the habit of uploading to the channel. And in this particular case, I really want to talk about team lifts and this one interaction I had with Christian at the Summer Shredding Classic. It's going to be like a story time type video. I want to keep it as concise as I can, but to me, it was an interesting sort of series of events from when I first got interested in watching Christian's videos to sort of where I am currently. So yeah, without keeping this too long, I really want to start just at the beginning here. This was in the summer of 2019 was the first time that for some reason the YouTube algorithm had popped a video of Christian's into my feed. And I'll actually thumbnail which video that was because I remember the very first one. And so that was the very first video that I watched. And if you know Christian, like all his thumbnails and stuff were super clickbaity. So it was really easy to get like, through the first couple until you're invested enough in, his journey for the show and all that. And you end up watching a lot more of them. So I followed him along through that summer shredding process. I think that was 2019. And then I ended up going back and watching some older videos and I really got like more interested in the actual Summer Shredding Classic. At the time, I was definitely not into the bodybuilding scene whatsoever. This was sort of like the genesis of that. So fast forward to around October of that same year, there was an Ever Forward, this is Max Tuning's brand, there's an Ever Forward pop-up in New York City, which was close enough to me that I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in the area. I want to stop by New York City and check it out. And because I knew there was a meet and greet for Max and Christian was there. Charlie and Heidi ended up being there too. But I ended up going to that Ever Forward meetup. I was waiting in line, like this was like 2 hours before the doors were even opening. I don't know why I got there that early. There were a ton of people that ended up lining up. I'll link some of the video footage from Max's video in while I'm talking about this, but it was an awesome meetup. But while I was in line, I just so happened to be in line with Vinny, Chris and Edison. And I sort of just got to talking to them. I think Vinny and Chris were vlogging at the time. They had their cameras with them. It was great. We ended up just kind of like chatting, getting to know each other. And this will all be important a little bit later, but the meetup was awesome. I got to meet Christian, got to meet Max, got to meet Charlie, Heidi. That was dope. It really just sort of made me more interested in sort of this, I guess, kind of the culture around social media fitness type of thing, and sort of like that's how I got into it in the first place. So again, that was October of 2019. I ended up in line talking to Edison. This was before I signed up for the show. I talked to Edison about his coach. He ended up talking about the show. He did well at Summer Shredding. He was coached by Pat. So Coach Patty Lifts, who, as you know, now I work with him. He was talking with me about Pat, talking about the whole experience. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. And I knew that Vinny had also done his own show. So this was not too long after the meetup. I ended up DMing Vinny and being like, hey man, like if I did want to compete, and keeping in mind this was for the Summer Shredding Classic, I was like, what are some suggestions you have? What do you recommend? And he really hammered home getting a coach and not kind of doing it on your own and, not knowing any better. In my head, I was like, no, I'll just do it on my own, it'll be fine. And I ended up heeding his advice, ended up then talking to Edison again and being like, yo man, tell me more about Coach Pat. How was your experience? All that. He, obviously spoke very highly of him. So I ended up getting on a call with Pat. I wasn't committed on the spot because I hadn't bought my show ticket at that time or anything like that. But it was a great conversation. And so let's see. Fast forward again. Now it's around March. So I'll link this. I posted this video in March of 2020.
Yesterday, I made a bit of an impulsive purchase. As of yesterday, on July 18th, 2020, I'll be competing in a bodybuilding show. And not just any show. This is Summer Shredding in Houston, Texas.
Announcing that I had signed up for the show. And I believe at that time I had committed to working with Pat as my coach. So this is like it was literally just one night where I was up and I was like, I'm just going to buy this ticket. I'm going to buy the ticket. What's the worst that could happen? I mean, it was it costs money, obviously, but I mean, I did not know what I was getting into, to be straight up. I honestly just did it because I was like, what the heck? And so it was, my mindset was like, if I commit to it by buying the ticket, that'll commit me to actually going on this journey of, I guess, show prep and all that stuff. So if you didn't know, or whenever you're watching this, so in 2020 was when COVID came and basically just everything that was scheduled for that year was pushed. And so the show was originally supposed to be in the summer, I think July or something. And this was March again. So we were signed up. Pat and I had like just started prep, and then it got announced that it was delayed. We didn't have a date yet. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We ended up starting prep because the show somehow was able to be put on in October of that year, as you probably know. And so we really started prep maybe 3-ish months out from that. Coach Pat and I really started getting into it. Prep went amazing. He was obviously fantastic as a coach. We worked really well together. And along the way, we were talking about prep stuff, but also we were talking enough that other things came up. We ended up talking about team lifts, talking about his business, talking about what I was doing for work. And sort of like our relationship just sort of grew from there. Ended up taking second in my class at the Summer Shredding Classic, which was my first show that I ever did, which was great. It was honestly like exceeded my expectations, but again, I can't really speak highly enough of Coach Pat as a coach there. I mean, I was just really glad to have had him there with me to help me bring the best package that we could. And so sort of like interjecting into this sort of timeline of events here, this is when after the show, so I'm literally walking off stage with the second place medal. Shout out to everyone that was in the F class. Those guys were freaking stacked. Like everyone did so well. I was like one of the last to leave off the stage, and Christian had like stopped me when I was behind the stage. He was like, yo man, I don't remember whatever my number was. He's like, yo man. And I turned around and was like, yo, what's up? And I didn't really expect, obviously, I didn't expect to get any like one-on-one time necessarily with Christian, just because I know like everything he was doing with Alfland and setting up the show, like it was crazy. Dude was swamped, but he did a great job. And so I was like, hey, what's up, man? And he sort of like hesitated, and he goes, just send me a DM. And I was like, okay, cool. So I was like, I'll send him a DM. So I get off stage, call Pat right away. It was just like, it was awesome. I was ecstatic. I was just like, on top of the world, even though it took second in class, but like I said, like that was crazy to me. That was not what I was expecting at all. So anyway, I sent Christian a DM like right away. I was just like, yo man, like, you said to send me a message, I'm here for like 2 more days. So if you wanted to catch up or chat or whatever, he didn't get back to me I wanted to give it a day before I did the double text or anything. And so nothing for a day. So this is like the last day that I'm there. I think I sent him one more DM in the morning. I'm saying like, yo, I'm taking off at this time. If you wanted to chat, just let me know. But also because obviously, especially at this time, I figured he was getting just so many DMs, and I didn't really want to like give up the opportunity, whatever that I had no idea what he wanted to talk about, but also like, of course I want to know. So I went to the front desk at Alphalete right before I left, and I wrote on a sticky note. I asked the girl who's working the front desk, hey, could I borrow a sticky note and leave a note for Christian? Would you be able to, give it to Ashley, who would then be able to give it to Christian? She's like, yeah, of course. So I wrote a little note. I like put my Instagram on. I was like, hey, here's my name. You said to send you a DM. If you didn't get it, here's a note. Here's my phone number. If you need anything, let me know. Gave it to her, flew back home. And I again, like maybe like 3 days went by, nothing. So I sent an email to Ashley because Ashley was coordinating the summer shredding. So I had her email through those chains, sent her an email, asked her a couple things. But then the last thing I said was like, hey, did by chance you get this note that I left for Christian? And she goes, and I'll put up on screen. She goes, yeah, I hand delivered it to him. And so I'm like, dang. So like definitely got it. Presumably saw the messages that I sent there prior. And then just like didn't message back. But obviously like no ill will at all. Like it to me, like I think I sent him one message after I heard that he'd saw it, and I was like, yo man, like, whatever it was you want to talk about, I will get to the point where, the only thing I can speculate is that like my social media presence at the time was like I mean, I had like 700 followers. I just had started my Instagram literally like at the start of preparing for this. So maybe like from a business perspective, like I was not a, I guess an asset at that time. So I was just like, whatever, forget about it. It's cool. I enjoyed the show. I'll probably be back. We'll have other conversations in the future. It's all good. But that's really the story of basically getting ghosted by CG. Again, like no ill will, no, I don't feel any type of way about it. One day I'll laugh about it, but yeah, that was that story. And then sort of to then pick back up where we were after the show, that second storyline, Coach Pat and I just got to talking even after the show, working on our reverse diet. And Pat goes, hey man, like, we got to talking about the team lifts and about business, and it's just like the timing was just right. He wanted to start doing some other things with the team and wanted to bring on some coaches, and so I was just right place, right time. We had good chemistry, we got along well, and so that was that. And so that was the start of me working as a coach for team lifts. And there is a ton that I can go into about team lifts and about the coaching experience, but I guess the main message of like this whole story is like, the one decision that I made to just commit to buying the ticket for this show, like, has entirely shaped what I'm doing right now, like working for Team Lifts and all that. And like making that one decision, meeting Vinny and Edison and Chris, and like at like just every little thing matching up perfectly. Like it's crazy to me. And so like, I guess the main message for me would be like, don't be afraid of like some of these decisions, because you never know where you're gonna end up because of it. The other thing I will say, I haven't announced this anywhere, but I'm actually going back to Houston the first week of February of 21 with Vinny and Edison. It'll be the first time I've seen them since, man, whenever that was, the Ever Forward meetup. And I'm really excited to see those guys. I'm really excited to film some stuff for you. So, man, I hope I can condense this into a reasonable length of time, but there was a lot there. I hope you guys enjoyed the little story, and I'll talk to you guys in a couple days. See ya. Hello, everybody. Oh, good. That's a good start.